D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I just watched, I just finished the latest episode of Strange New Worlds, episode 3. And I want to be honest with you, I don't know how to feel about this show because it's not bad, but it's boring. Like last episode, I was like, they could have cut that down by 20 minutes. This episode, they probably could have cut that down by 20 minutes. And it still would have been, a pretty like meh episode. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I've just been so jaded by, Star New Trek that I don't know how to get into a show that might be good. I mean, like, this is the thing though. This episode was boring. Like, I was just like, okay, I can get on board with the concept and everything. And it wasn't a bad concept. It was actually like pretty good. But at the same time, I'm just like, and they're always feeding into the same tropes. And I'm just like, we live in a time now. Can't anybody not come up with a different idea anymore? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. Sorry. But I'm trying not to be pessimistic, but it's so hard. It's so hard not to be pessimistic about Star Trek because they've just bastardized it so much that I'm just like, I don't know how to like it anymore. Like I want to so bad, but I don't know how to. I just don't know how to. And I'm trying to not be cynical about it. Okay. Anyways, all right. So now that I've finished that little nonsense, why don't we get into this breakdown? But before I get started, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we always get shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. So now that I've finished my nonsense, let's get started on this breakdown of this. So they go to this planet. I don't remember the name of the planet. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit of a time crunch and everything because, I promised my son we'd go outside and play. But so they go to this planet and there's this big ion storm. And so, they get there and, number one, she's doing her captain's log, except she's not doing a captain log because she's not the captain. I also don't know how I feel. I can't remember I don't think any other crew member that was an acting captain did a log in any of the other Star Trek shows. They might have. I just don't remember. Don't freak out on me. I have a friend who doesn't want to be named, who watches my episodes, and he's always like, you got this wrong and this wrong. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't remember every single detail of every single episode of every single Star Trek show. Anyways, so they're on this planet and they're in this little, dome thingy, and they're talking about the planet. And now the aliens, they biogenetically alter themselves and everything, which we'll learn a little bit more about in this episode. I don't remember the aliens, but what are you gonna do? And so they're sitting here talking, and they're not allowed to be in the Federation because they genetically altered themselves. So because the Federation doesn't do any of that because of the eugenics war, which they talk about in here. They talk to Noonien-Singh and everything. So anyway, so they're sitting here and they're trying to figure out what happened, kind of thing. And this guy, this little emo kid, he opens up this cabinet and he's looking through stuff, and you see these little sparkles right here, these little sparkles, that right there. That is the virus or whatever. So he's like, hey, we need to go. So so they go to beam out, and they're like, hey, the ion storm's coming, you want to beam us out and everything. And he's like, I can't do it. And I'm all like, okay, you're a man, of course you can't do it because you're a man. But then she's like, anytime now, stupid. And then of course, we get the fully bodied, abled, blind dude whose senses are just so out of this world because he's so great, because he's blind, we have to make him super powered, which is fine. I'm being a little bit mean, but I'm just like, this guy is taking a front seat for some crazy reason. Like I'm all like, why are we letting this albino and Darian like take a front seat to everything? Like he's just so good. So anyway, so he's all like, the one kid's all like, I can't do it. And he's like, let me fix it for you. Stand aside, pleb, and everything. So he fixes it to give him more power. And then he's able to transport the team up. So then they're going to transport these two, but Spock is all like, hey, I found this story, this little novelette, and I want to read it and everything. This log about the aliens that are here. But they don't make it in time because the ion storm is too close now. So they're like, hey, you're gonna have to find shelter. And so they, you know, it's like, all right, let's head on inside and everything. So then they find shelter. So then she's on the thing, and she's heading up to the bridge. She's like, hey, the captain's gonna have to chill out on the planet for a little while. While they wait out the storm. And she's all like, yeah. So in the long hallway, Ortiz. Sorry, I'm eating, but I skipped lunch. I am starving right now. She's all like, hey, man. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, I got to be so close to the light. And she's like, whatever gets your rocks off, dude. And then he smashes his head in to get closer. So then number one is in her quarters, and this light's going off, and she's like, you know, touching this globe and everything. She's like, can you, and she's like, oh, she's getting like all erotic. She's like, oh, and she's like tearing off her clothes and everything. I'm like, yeah, do it. Do it. This show is full of a lot of very good looking people, by the way. Everybody's like all pretty and everything. And so she starts to glow, and she's like, can you turn the light up 25%? And she's like, oh, and everything. And then it goes away. Are those her nipples? No, that's just that's bad. That right there. That is bad sewing. Anyways. So she's like, so then she gets a call from the doctor, and these people are starting to feel what's going on and everything. And they find out that they've been, their vitamin D has been lowered, and they've all contracted this, like, you know, virus or whatever. I can't remember if it's the away team, everybody from the away team, but she's like, do you see anything in me? He's like, no. So he takes some of her blood, and then, yeah. And then so she goes to engineering and everything, and they're trying to figure out how a virus got on board because their filtration system with the zapping back and forth. Gosh, I cannot think right now what the word usage is, but every time they, you know, they're so it's supposed to filter out any diseases or viruses that they bring with them, but this time it didn't, and we'll find out why later. And so he's going to do some diagnostic checks, and he's like, it's going to take all night. And she's all like, thanks. And he's like, And then, so they're like, hey, we can't get you up here, but there's a virus. Something went down. So she's sitting here trying to figure it out, and she pulls up the alien files and everything. And then Lillian Noonien-Singh comes in, and she's all like, hey, you're security, so you're going to have to look into this stuff because, you know, we might have some problems. And then she talks to her about being, you know, Khan's relative or whatever, him being her ancestor, and how she was picked on as a little kid. I can't remember what they called her, like, you know, and she feels the light and everything. She's like, oh, and is this the only light you have in here? And I'm like, no, you don't see these little lights right here? Right here, you don't see all these lights? And so she takes her to the sick bay, and she's all like, she was not on the away team. And she's all like, we need to figure out what's doing, kind of thing. And so he's like, you need to put it in full lockdown and quarantine. So she does. She's like, we're putting everybody's assigned to quarters. The only essential personnel only. So then they all go to their quarters, and then back on the planet, he's reading, and he finds out that some of the aliens, they wanted to join the Federation. So they were taking steps to oh gosh, what is it? Where they bioengineer themselves. So they could then join the Federation. And he's like, can't you just skip to the end, kind of thing. So then the ion cloud storm is coming, and they start hearing what sounds like screams and everything. And then you see these little guys right here, and they're just moving. Now, I would say when I first thought of it, I thought of Odysseus with the sirens. They're just like calling to them and everything. And then I also thought at the beginning of this that the aliens, they had caught this virus or whatever, and the ion storm then took them, and then they became these little light creatures. We find out that they did go into the ion storm because of reasons, but they did not become these light creatures. So they're like, he's like, did you just see what I saw? And he's like, yeah, I saw it. So then Ahura wakes up, and she opens up her little thing, and her roommates have made a little mini sun in their room. And then she turns it off, and he's like, why did you do that for? And she's like, what are you doing? And everything. And so it has gotten full blown all over the ship. And he's all like, hey, I'm trying to do diagnostics checks. I need to do a diagnostics check on your med bay beaming system. I can't think of what it's called. I just said it like 10 seconds ago, like at the beginning of this. I just can't think. And he's like freaking out. He's like, there's nothing wrong with it. You don't need to check it out. And I'm all like, yo, my dude, that's a red flag. Red flags all over the place. As soon as you get all like uppity like you did, I go, yo, albino, are your senses not tingling, buddy? They're not tingling now, but before you're all like, I can sense your facial expression. You can't sense this guy's unwillingness to let you check out his beaming system. Transporter, thank you. He's like, I'm done. But he turned the lights off, and then he turned it back on and everything. And he's all like, I gotta watch that guy. So then back on the planet, these two are seeing these little light creatures, and they're trying to get in. And they cut Spock and everything. And he's like, hey, we need to reinforce the doors. I'm paraphrasing all of this, by the way. And then back on the ship, number one is trying to figure out what went down with Ahura, because her roommates got it, the virus, but she didn't. So she's like, this is how you were? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, but I had the thing closed. And she's like in there, and she's like, it's light. The virus moves through light, and then the doctor, equates it to the common cold. The cold makes us sneeze. So then it creates, it infects another person. That's what this is doing, but it's traveling through light. So she's like, we need to turn the lights off, kind of thing. So they sedate everybody, and then they turn the lights off. So then she's trying to figure out what it is. And she goes to the database and the aliens and everything. And she sees, I didn't get a good picture, but this one is like how she glowed because she's an alien. But she gets a little thing about how there's something going on in the transporter room. So she goes down there, and there's a piece of the core inside the transporter room. And this guy, Hammer, he has transported a small piece of the core to the ship so he can be close to it and everything, because he's gotten the virus. So she stuns him. She stun gun your buns. And then she picks him up and carries him to the thing, because she to the sick bay, because she's an alien, which she admits to later. Back on the planet, nice ocean. They're sitting here, but the little light creatures are getting through, and he's trying to read the end. So long story short, they get in, and they protect them from the ion storm, the electric ion storm. And he's all like, yeah. So then back on the ship, she brings him in, and she's like, how did you carry me? She's like, I'm an alien. I'm immune. Can we use my blood to synthesize a cure? And the doctor's like, no. He's like, I could have done it when you first got on the ship, but now that your body has cured what the virus thing, I can't replicate what was before. So I can't use your blood anymore. So then she's all like, you're telling me I have to watch all of you get sick and possibly kill yourself / die because I can't help you. And he's all like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. And then he's taken over because he tries to get to the light and everything. So she sedates him. Oh, and they talk about like bigotry and stuff here. It's very I mean, that's stuff that you're kind of used to in modern Trek, but they've just done it so overtly these days that you're just like, this shit just passes over me, because I'm all like, I'm sorry. Like, you guys have lost me when it comes to your message, what you want to say in this stuff, because Picard and Discovery have already ruined it. So I just, when this stuff does, I just blank out like a deer in the headlights. I'm like, huh, and everything. So then Lillian Noonien-Singh, whatever her name is, she awakens, probably because she's what are they called, the eugenics people. Anyways, there's going to be a warp core breach. It's an imminent. There's no changing it. It's warp core breach, and she's like, I'm going to flood the ship with light and everything. And she's like, you don't know what it was like growing up. I was called freak and everything. And I can't remember what she was called and everything. So they start fighting. And I'm like, oh, you were picked on in high school? I wouldn't know what that's about. You poor thing. Anyways. And she stops her. And then the warp core breach. And she does her little thingy again. Look how cute they look angry. I don't like that expression. You're cute when you're angry. People aren't cute when they're angry, but these two are good looking. A lot of good looking people on the show. So then they're sitting here and he talks about what happened with the aliens on this planet is how they died is they de-genetified themselves. This light storm came, or they got the disease, and because they got the disease, the light creatures couldn't help them, and they walked into the ion storm. They couldn't protect them. They walked into the ion storm and died. But it just shows that it's a good thing, because it just showed that they did want to join the Federation. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't work out too much because they're dead now. So good for, their legacy or whatever. Anyway, so then the doctor comes in and she's all like, hey, we were able to, this one, she was able to synthesize a cure, because with the warp core happen, that was a new thing or whatever. So because of that, they were able to synthesize a cure. And I'm all like, reasons. Anyways, I was like, it doesn't matter. I honestly, at this point, I was just like, I don't care. Just cure them so this episode can be over with. So she goes to talk to this one because she said a lot of mean things. You poked my heart. And she's all like, was it true? And she's like, no and yes. You helped me, but I figured out that strawberries are my comfort food. And I'm all like, strawberries, one of the most boring fruits ever. Apples are really good. I love apples. They're my favorite. And so I don't remember what they said here, because I honestly just didn't care by this point, because I was just also like, oh, come on, let's move it along. Plus, I have to just be honest, this character is kind of boring. Like, you're related to Khan. Okay. So then she admits to him that she's an alien and that she's been, genetically changed or whatnot. And she's all like, I understand if you need to kick me off the ship / turn me in. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, but if they find out, you're going to be under the knife too and everything. And he's all like, listen, I'm going to become hamburger face and, all Zorgified in that wheelchair anyway. So what do I care? He didn't say all this. I'm just assuming. She's like, oh, you're going to go to bat for me, even though, you're not, there's going to be no recourse because you're just going to be, a cripple and everything. And so he's like, yeah, you're my friend. You're the best you're best number 2 ever, number 1 in this case. So then she goes to the hospital wing and she's like, hey, he did that albino guy. He did his full diagnostic. You're keeping something in the, what's it called? In the free space of the transporter. They've used it plenty of times before in Trek. I just can't remember. And he's like, and I thought it was his wife, but guess what? Daughter. I'm like, okay, well, that's like not too much of a stretch, wife. If it wasn't the wife, it was definitely a kid. And he's like, she got a disease and I can put her in there for as long as it takes to find the cure to the disease and everything. And I was like, great. You could have done that with the crew too, to find this light thingy, this light cure. Anyways. So he's like, you can turn me into Starfleet. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. The captain went to bat for me. I'm going to go to bat for you. And I'm like, yeah, because if captain goes down, you're all going down. Okay. So, yeah. So then she does her little log. He goes in and he lets his daughter out and everything for a bedtime story. And as soon as she showed up, I was like, how cute is she? She is adorable, this little girl. And he's like, where did we leave off in the story? And she's like, and she explains, he's like, hey, and she's like, Dad, you've read this 1,000 times to me. I know what happens. And he's like, that does not mean that the ending couldn't have changed drastically. And I was like, good point. Look how cute she is. So adorable. And she did a good job for a child actor, even though she only had like 4 lines. So then she admits in her log that she's an alien, and then she just erases it. I'm like, oh, you just had to say it out loud, right? And then he's reading the story, and then that's the end of the episode. We see the little planet. This is actually a good thing. And so it's a good, I mean, it was just boring. I don't know, man. I don't dislike it, but I can't love it because, sorry, I'm so rude right now. I'm just so starving right now. And this is the only thing I'll eat for like another 2 hours. The episode was just so like very like drawn out. I felt like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I hate being like pessimistic about this stuff and like very like I don't even know the right word, but like cynical. But it's just, I'm sorry, I've just been so burned by New Trek that I can't just jump in and like this. However, I don't hate it like I do the other shows. The other shows are just pure garbage. This is not pure garbage. It's just there's just little things in here that I'm just like maybe next time, like, you know, it's on a streaming service. It doesn't have to be. Look at those Marvel shows. Some of those are like only like Star Wars shows. Some of those are only like half hour long and everything, and they're fine. They're fine. So just do that. Just do that, you know? Yeah, I don't know what else to say. But yeah, again, I didn't hate this episode, but I didn't love it. Like I didn't like when it was going on, I was just like, yeah, I need more of this. I was more like, you know, maybe I need less of this, you know? So, all right, you guys, that is my breakdown and review of this episode. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? You know, did you want more? Did you want like less like I did? You know, are you liking this season and all that stuff? Tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next Strange New Worlds breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.